Okay, so hopefully you've clicked on the video link at the bottom of this slide in the PowerPoint and you have ended up here, where I'm going to just explain a little bit about that trend going across the periodic table, the atomic size decreasing, and when we go down a group, the atomic size actually increases. Okay, so if we think first of all about the going across the table. Now going across the periodic table, our atomic size is going to decrease, right? So it's going to get smaller. So if we imagine that second period, so the lithium all the way along, and we think about the atoms. So let's just pick out a few, and these are the few that are going to appear in the PowerPoint. Okay, so lithium, beryllium, boron, and then carbon we kind of finished it at. Now if we think about lithium, lithium has got atomic number 3. That means it's got 3 protons and 3 electrons. And if you remember back to the start of the PowerPoints, we talked about nuclear charge, the number of protons in the nucleus, and the electrons, the outer electrons, being the main factors in deciding about this. Okay, about all these factors we're looking at, whether it's atomic size, electronegativity, or ionization energy. So that means inside here we have got a 3+ charge. Your electron arrangement, those 3 electrons are going to 1. Okay, so that 3 positive charge, let's see if I can find a different colour pen, that 3 positive charge is attracting that outer electron. Beryllium, atomic number 4, boron, atomic number 5, and carbon, atomic number 6. So what we can think of is our atomic charge is going up, sorry, your nuclear charge is going up, 5+, 4+, 6+, because the number of protons are increasing. But if we think of the diagram, the electron arrangement diagram, now I'm going to jump straight over to carbon. Right, get 6 positives in there. Your 6 electrons are arranged like so. The 6 electrons are arranged in 2 rings, just like we had over here. So we've got 2 orbitals or 2 energy levels of electrons. Right? Same at that point as well. But that greater nuclear charge, so the fact we've now got 6 protons in there, is attracting the electrons, so those outer electrons still in the second energy level, and it's ended up pulling it closer together. So carbon is smaller than the lithium, right? So smaller and larger atoms, and that's the same across the period. So if you imagine beryllium's got the 4 positives in the middle, boron's got 5 positives, it's pulling it in closer and closer and closer. And we can continue that all the way across that period and any period in the periodic table. Because as you go across any period in the periodic table, the atomic number is always increasing, which means the number of protons and the atomic charge, so the nuclear charge, I've said that again, is also increasing. So the increase in the nuclear charge, increase in the positive inside the nucleus, is giving greater attraction to pull those outer electrons in. That means when we go across the periodic table, the atomic size decreases. Okay, so now we need to think about going down a group in the periodic table. And this one is a little bit more straightforward to imagine. So if we imagine going down group 1, and we'll start with hydrogen, right, because it's obviously sitting there at the top of group 1. Lithium, sodium, and I don't think I'll manage to fit potassium on, but we'll just put it down there anyway. If we think on the electron arrangements of these things, hydrogen element number 1 has just got an electron arrangement of 1. That means we've got our nucleus with 1 electron round about. Lithium, the next element down, is 2, 1. So we've got 2 electrons, then the next electron. Sodium, as we follow down the group, 281. And hopefully right away you're starting to see that the atoms are getting bigger. Potassium, run out of colours, go back to blue. Potassium, 281, atomic number 19, 19 electrons, and you'll just squeeze that in at the bottom there. But what we can see is, as we go down this down a group in the periodic table, we've got one energy level or one orbital. We've then got 2 energy levels. So lithium, we're into the second one. And then sodium, 3 energy levels. Now what that means is, the electrons are just getting further away. Right, so that outer electron there is getting further away every time we add an extra energy level on. Now, the nuclear charge is also increasing, right, because we've got, in hydrogen, we've got 1 proton, 1 plus, lithium 3, 3 plus, sodium 11, 11 plus, potassium 19, 19 plus. But because we're adding this extra energy level, because the electrons are getting so far away, the positive charge has very little effect. So the reason that when we go down a group, the atomic size increases is because we're adding extra energy levels in. Now those 2 factors, that nuclear charge and the distance those outer electrons are away from the nucleus, as we said at the start of the PowerPoint, they decide everything. And it's very similar for when you look at electronegativity in the next bit, and then ionisation energy, which we'll look at next week. Okay, so at this point I would suggest you return back to the PowerPoint.